is Will Wiesenfeld. I'm Max, and I create music. This upcoming tour in February and for like a little bit into March is my first headlining tour in the US. I'm super confident about it because of the support that I have on the tour. Like, it really makes me feel like it's a package deal, that it's like you're coming to a show to see all three people that are playing, which the other bands are Braids and Starslinger. And I think it's gonna be like the entire night all the way through is going to be like so deeply enjoyable. When I was in middle school, I heard Bjork for the first time, sort of as an accident, when I was like looking around the internet for stuff, and I just hadn't heard anything like it before. At least starting out with it, it was sort of the open-endedness of it, that it's like, it didn't appeal as a genre as much to me. It was more like a philosophy sort of on making music, that it was like you can incorporate any sound that exists, any instrumentation. Like, there's no like constituents for what makes electronic music. It's like completely open-ended. That's sort of the fun of making music for me, is that it's completely unpredictable. It never starts the same way, never ends the same way. And there are certain songs that start with maybe like a sonic idea. The song Please sort of started this way, that it was like, I really like the idea of recording the guitar, an electric guitar, like not plugged in, and just sort of the dry sound very close to the strings, so it sounded very tinny. That was where it started, and I started recording melodies on the guitar and layering them, and then the song sort of flourished from there. There's a lot of times where I can go into recording music, as I'm sure is true with a lot of electronic musicians, not knowing what you want. You just sort of feel the need to start recording, regardless of anything. You just sort of start recording, and then as you maybe record layers of live instrument, or you just screw around with a synth on the computer, things start appearing, or ideas start to formulate just from playing around. And that's sort of the most magical thing, when like a whole song can come together out of nowhere. With music, or learning any instrument, or learning the computer, or getting like toys and like pedals and whatever, all of that stuff, it is all just tools. None of it is actual creative, like it's not you making music. And that's what so many people, I feel like, have a misunderstanding of, that it's like the more cool things you get, or the more synths you get, all of a sudden your music will be that much better. You can use a drum machine to make the most soulful music in the world. The thing itself doesn't have a soul, but that's also like saying a guitar doesn't have a soul. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. On Cerulean, there are vocal samples that I have, that I use, that are, I'm comfortable using and still saying that the record is like 100% me, because they're not musical samples. It's like taking just regular speech out of somebody's conversation or whatever. They're from like YouTube clips, I think, and putting them in a musical context and giving them sort of like a new definition and a new feel or whatever. And I think people that are very good at sampling music can do the same sort of thing with actual music, but I'm just not comfortable with doing it. All the music I made had to be my own music. Like, it had to be my own sounds, my own melodies, my own everything. I was terrified of like getting hunted down and like taken to jail. It turned into something very good, something that helped the process of how I make music, and kept it so that it's more me than any other thing I could have done, I think. People confuse me for a DJ, and it's the most heartbreaking thing ever. You know what I mean? When people are like, whoa man, like that was really dope, like whose music was all that you were playing? And I was just like, god damn it, like the whole time that was happening, you thought that was somebody else. I'm able to remain very physical on the MPD, like move my arms around, and like my body is very, I can really like emote well, I think, with it, which is hugely important. And there were other controllers that I had used, and even with a guitar, it's like, it's a little bit harder in terms of singing and doing all that stuff at the same time. So it's just like really lucky that that sort of combination works as well as it does. In terms of intimacy, I can sort of express that well because I'm singing while I'm doing my set. but when it started off I wasn't singing, and I don't think the show was translating well. It felt very gimmicky, and just like, oh, look at all this stuff I can do on the machine, and like there's a huge disconnect between the audience and me. There was not a lot of emotion. Whereas the second I got on the microphone, and even when I'm not singing, if I'm just talking to people, if I'm just like, hey, thanks for coming, like, hope you like this next song, it's like that, you get that much closer with the audience. Here's a sticker. Here's a sticker. And then the third one, which is my favorite, is this one. And if it's not obvious, they're very, very gay, like in a very literal sense. My lyrics are, and like I am, so I just sort of felt it was time that more of my merchandise was, and more of my imagery. So I was nervous about it, but at the show that I did in San Diego, I was selling the stickers, and the best thing that happened was that the shirtless one, this one, which is obviously like the gayest one of the group, sold out before any of the other ones. I had 40 of them, and I sold all 40 before the other ones sold, which is like incredible, and like so sort of like reassuring about how dope everybody on the planet is.